Hi Sydney mums, Marie and I are here today talking about food additives. Which diet would be a question that Marie gets frequently asked. Which diet is better? As Marie would say, and she will go on to say, food is what is included in the diet. So what do they have in common? Here is an example of an ingredients list. Marie, would you like to add some more?
Yeah, so this is one of the well-known peanut butters that we probably give to our children sometimes. And if you can look in, I'm not sure what what it'll look like, but if you look at the ingredients list, it's roasted peanut butters, 91% minimum, vegetable oils, which contain the antioxidant 320. The list looks quite clean, but if we don't know what a 320 is, we're not really understanding what's in it. So 320, I'll just give you the short name, is BHA, and it's actually not allowed in children's food in Australia, which is surprising because, as I say, peanut butter is a food we give to our children. And the reason it's not allowed is because it is linked to cancer, and it's also not good for children with asthmatic or sensitive or skin irritations, etc. Now, not all peanut butters contain this additive 320, so it's well worth looking at what peanut butter you have in your cupboards and just trying to find one that doesn't contain that additive. Might be a bit shocking to know that we actually eat about 5 kg of food additives yearly, and we can eat 100 different ones daily. So if we have a sample breakfast, say like Cocoa Pops, some cheese and bacon muffins, some sort of margarine, a light jam, packaged orange juice. Some of those brands can be up to about 32 additives, and of that 19 can have an adverse reaction to some children. So it's worth looking at the combinations that we have, because if you pick something like Weetabix and maybe a fresh juice and a better quality jam, you can reduce the amount of additives. So how it works within the government, there's an organisation called Food Standards Australia New Zealand, and they look after regulating what's in our food. Their kind of motto is, if it's approved, it's safe, whereas even if it's banned in other countries like the US or America, the Food Standards Australia New Zealand don't actually test anything. They just rely on the people who provide the food to give us the tests, and they're just looking for physical changes, not the neurological impacts. And all these additives are tested in isolation. And if you look at some foods, you'll probably find that most foods, packaged foods, have a number of additives. There's also that 5% loophole, which means that if an additive is in a food and it's less than 5%, it doesn't need to be listed on the label. There was one study done by a university in Liverpool in England, and they found that the additives 951, 133, 621 and 104 actually stopped our neurons from growing, which I think is a big impact for young children whose brains are still developing. And these additives can be found in chocolate milks, rice crackers and cordials and chips, so it is important to understand what's in it. One of the main ones we find that causes a lot of reactions is MSG. MSG is actually in foods probably for a number of reasons. One is the mainly taste, but there's studies that show it increases our appetite by 40%. And it shouldn't really be given to children or pregnant women. However, lots of the day-to-day foods that our children eat contain MSG. Savoury biscuits, sauces, packaged soups, crisps and stocks as well. And if you look at the back of your packaging, MSG is well disguised. The well-known one is 621. However, there's lots of first cousins, is what I call them, numbers out there. They're similar to MSG, but they're not MSG, and they're down 620s onwards. And also they get a bit cheeky. Instead of just putting a number, they might put a name. Now there's so many names for MSG that Emma's going to actually upload a file with some ways of deciphering the code out there. And even if a product says that it doesn't contain MSG, but it does have some of the first cousins, as I call them, I think it contains MSG. And here's just an example of some flavoured packaging, and you can imagine it's going to contain it. So my little tip to parents is go for the crisps and crackers with least flavouring. Don't go for the pizza flavoured crackers or the cheesy baking type things. Just keep it simple, like the sea salts and, you know, the plainest crackers you're going to go.